What is going on, YouTube fitness family? No, I'm not getting held hostage in this video. This is just the best we had when it comes to our Airbnb and the lighting. So don't be concerned, guys. This is not some sort of ransom video. This is actually my Olympia prediction video. I've never done one of these, but I follow bodybuilding way more closely than people think. My videographer thinks it's so funny because we go on a trip. I watch this guy almost every day who does YouTube videos. His name's Yvonne, and he's always like, "What is up, guys? It's Yvonne here." My videographer thinks it's hilarious, but it's pretty funny. But shout out to Yvonne Bodybuilding, great channel. But yeah, so I'm gonna do my Olympia prediction, and we are going to be doing the open division today. So the big boys, the ones that I was supposed to be competing against if I wasn't such a fucking failure. And so in 8th place, I have Hunter Labrada, and this one pains me because I do love his physique and I do want to see him place higher. It's just over the last couple years, especially, like the amount of growth he's had in terms of muscularity has been tremendous, but it's kind of been at the behest of the look overall. And I think that's bodybuilding is all about proportions and how the overall look comes together. And the biggest issue has been the midsection. And it's not as much distension as it is just that lower abdominal has become more and more problematic. He doesn't really have that separation, especially when he crunches down, and also when he draws up. He has a couple issues. His sternum, for whatever reason, has become way more pronounced in that front double, and then also the pec tear has become a little bit more prominent in that shot as well. So while he looks insane, I saw him in person, I mean, tremendous physique. It's just stage is a very difference between how you look on stage and how you look in the gym or in person. And unfortunately, just those stage lights don't do him a lot of justice. He doesn't genetically have a lot of separation, even when he's really lean in the quads. So he has to get extra lean to show off those lines. He's probably one of the best in the world from the side. His side shots, him and Akeem, they're just so thick from the side. But and he's also brought up his back tremendously. So he's got one of the best back doubles, I think, in the game right now. But I think just the aesthetics from the front, abdominals and thighs, most muscular, front double, like all of those shots really suffer, and I think that's going to put him down in 8th. In 7th place, we have Martin, the Martian Fitzwater. Amazing physique. This guy has all the potential in the world to become one of the top guys in the next couple years. I think he just needs a little bit more time to fill out his frame. I think he's done extremely well in his 2 shows, the Detroit Pro, which he won, and the New York Pro, which he almost beat Nick. He's just got great aesthetics, especially with that vacuum, pulls up in the front double, crazy wide shoulders, small waist, crazy pop to his quads, looks great in pretty much any shot. He's got a great back as well, so much like that depth and 3D look. So it's just gonna be a matter of time for Martin. He's gone from kind of a mid-tier pro to almost like in the conversation to be a top-tier pro in like literally 12 to 14 months. So hats off to you, Martin. I think top 5 is in calling for you next year at the very latest. So just keep pushing. In 6th place, I have Brandon Curry. So literally traditionally one of the better bodybuilders, most consistent bodybuilders of the last decade, won in 2019. Tremendous bodybuilder. I think just the criticism has been that just the legs get consistently overwhelmed by the upper body. One of the best upper bodies probably arguably in the world still to this day, when it's in his 40s, is incredible. It's just, there has been a drop off in the overall flow of the physique, especially now with some of these guys with like the most insane legs you've ever seen. And so when you stand next to guys that are so dominant and so balanced and so obviously have such great pop, especially in the quads, from both the front and the back shots. He's actually pretty good from the side in the leg department, but when you turn around and you hit the back shots and then also the front shots, it becomes very clear that the upper body is very dominant. Conditioning is always great, but I think 6 is where he's going to land this year. In 5th, we have one of my favorite open guys, Rafael Brandao. He is an incredible Brazilian bodybuilder, just one of the most aesthetic flows in open. He's done the work with Neil Hill to put on size. He always brings pretty good conditioning. The only thing that honestly, after seeing the updates, would not have me put him higher than this, because he looks absolutely phenomenal, is just I don't think he's quite conditioned enough to be in the conversation with those top guys, Andrew, Derrick, Hadi, they're going to be really, really peeled, it seems. And I think Brandao kind of went for the size game. I think it'll be enough to push him into that top 5, but I don't think it'll be enough for him to really push these guys. He's a little bit narrow from the side. One of the best, most aesthetic front doubles. Looks great in his back double as well. I think the side shots, side chest, it's a beautiful shot, but I just think from a density perspective, he's going to be a little overwhelmed. And then obviously, like I said, conditioning is going to be what holds him back from getting into that, like, say, top 3 conversation. And now the first surprise of the day, I have Samson Daa in 4th place. And I know this is going to be a surprise. Some of you guys have him winning. I think just seeing him in France, I just don't think he's quite at the level of conditioning that's going to be necessary to beat these guys. And let's say he did do what was necessary between then and now, the deficit would have been so severe that it's kind of like what happened to me, not to even start to compare myself to Samson Daa. But when you get down to those extremely depleted phase and you have such short duration to make a pretty pronounced change, it's hard to keep the pop to your physique, and your physique will sometimes look a little bit more stringy, a little bit more flat. And I know that sounds crazy for somebody with the amount of muscle that Samson has, but if you guys aren't in bodybuilding, you don't really understand how much like glycogen and fullness can change the look of a physique. Even with that level of muscularity, it's like how much your muscle pushes against the skin, how alive that you look on stage in terms of the pop, the bubbliness. And realistically, if you think that he probably carved up for that France show, at least somewhat, it's gonna load his glycogen. So probably to get back into like full depletion mode, probably would have taken him to like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of the following week, which really only gives him a week before he starts to carb up for the Miss Olympia. I just don't think that's enough time to get into that like really next level conditioning that would put him in that top 2 conversation this year. All right, I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but in number 3, I have Hadi Choopan. So amazing bodybuilder, literally one of my favorite bodybuilders in the world. But I think this year is gonna be the year where somebody like Andrew Jacked is going to put himself on the map in the sense of he's just got so much size and just takes up so much space on stage that when he puts it together with the aesthetics that he has, it's going to make Hadi look a little bit small. And the biggest concern I have with Hadi, he's always been very much so transparent as he like gets closer to a show about how he looks, posting updates, very confident. We haven't heard really seen anything from Hadi as much like other than like cutting his shirt like this with some scissors to show his upper chest when he was working out with Hadi Rambod. And I think he's always very conditioned from the front, but he's not usually quite as conditioned from the rear. And that's where I think he lost to Derrick last year, was that rear conditioning. And if he's not showing it, it's concerning to me because he's usually very confident, and the lack of confidence I think is coming from the posting and doing things like cutting his shirt just so he can show his chest is a little bit odd for me coming from Hadi. So I think we're gonna see maybe not the sharpest Hadi, maybe he really peaked the best he could this year for the Arnold, and he looked probably one of the most insane looks of the entire year. So I think that he's going to land in 3rd. And then we have the surprise, Andrew Jacked, 2nd place. I've seen his face. He looks dialed in. I think we're going to see the best Andrew we've ever seen. Probably one of the most aesthetic open guys of all time. 6'2", just absolutely monstrous. Huge shoulders, small waist, crazy big legs. It's just amazing flow. I think he's going to have improved his side posing, which I think was more problematic than the actual muscle, because I think when he poses from the side, he would kind of crunch up in that side chest. I think he's going to really open it up in it and show how much muscle he truly has in that side pose. And in the back, I think he's going to be the most conditioned he's ever been, and it's going to be enough to push him into that number 2 spot. And then number 1, just based on the updates, I can't go against Derricklford in that number 1 spot. I think he's got really kind of everything you need to win the show in the sense of just probably one of the best backs of all time, up there with Ronnie and Phil. And then you've got that really, really rock hard conditioning from the rear. And I think he's really worked on bringing up the conditioning even in the front. this prep, and you see it like from 6 weeks out and in, he's just getting really, really tight. I think he's really focused. I don't think there's been any really hiccups in his prep. And when somebody is that good and they seem that confident, they're that on, and the intensity is that high, I think it's very, very telling of what they're going to look like on stage. So like you could tell, like last year when I talked to Andrew right before the show, you could just tell from his demeanor, like he wasn't really excited, and that kind of showed. He still got 5th place, which is amazing, but you could just tell from his energy that he didn't feel like he'd brought his best. So I feel like that's the opposite for Derek this year. I think he's very confident. I think he's going to step on stage and look just as crazy as last year, if not even a little bit more refined. I don't think he's going to be tremendously bigger, but it's going to be enough to win him the show. So that's my prediction, guys. Please comment down below your top 8. I'm very interested to see it. If you guys agree or disagree with me, don't hate. This is just literally completely objective based on what I'm seeing in the updates. So let me know if you guys like this type of video too. I know there's some bodybuilding fans. Some people are like, oh, I hate bodybuilding. I just watch you for the workout stuff. But yeah, comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. As always, get your HTLT subs. Get your Young LA apparel. Code Janicki for that. And I'll see you guys on the next video.